Lieutenant Commander Vessa had survived 17 combat deployments across 4 star systems. But she had never expected to die in a cargo bay. Accident on Nexus Station 7. The loading mech's hydraulic arm had malfunctioned during a routine supply transfer, and the 3-ton container had come crashing down. Vessa's enhanced reflexes allowed her to dodge the initial impact, but the chain reaction sent a support beam swinging toward her head. Her combat implants calculated the trajectory in microseconds. Impact imminent. Evasion impossible. Then someone slammed into her from the side. They hit the deck hard, rolling across the corrugated metal floor as the beam carved through the space where she had been standing. Vessa's training kicked in immediately, and she sprang to her feet in a defensive crouch, only to find a human sitting on the ground, rubbing his shoulder and wincing. "You okay?" the human asked, looking up at her with genuine concern. Vessa stared. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her violet skin marked with the ceremonial scars of the Kethron warrior caste. Her 4 arms were corded with muscle, and her reputation alone had made hardened mercenaries step aside in corridors. Yet this fragile creature had just thrown himself into danger to save her. "I am unharmed," she said, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones of her species. "You intervened?" "Yeah, well." The human stood, dusting off his maintenance jumpsuit. "Couldn't just watch that thing flatten you." He was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, brown hair pulled into a messy knot, grease stains on his clothes. His identification badge read Marcus Webb, Engineering Tech 3rd Class. "You could have been killed," Vessa said. Marcus shrugged. "Could have, yeah. But I wasn't, and neither were you, so I'd call that a win." He glanced at the wreckage. "I better report this malfunction before someone else gets hurt." "You sure you're good?" Before Vessa could respond, he was already walking toward the emergency comm panel, pulling out a diagnostic tablet. She watched him go, confusion rippling through her neural pathways. In Kethron culture, such an act would create a life debt that bound families for generations. Yet this human treated it as casually as stepping over a puddle. Over the following days, Vessa found herself observing Marcus Webb, her duties as the station's tactical operations. Commander gave her access to all personnel files, and his made for interesting reading. No military service. No combat training. He had signed on as a civilian contractor 2 years ago, and had an exemplary record for keeping the station's aging infrastructure functional. His performance reviews praised his problem-solving skills and his tendency to volunteer for the worst repair. Jobs, what the files did not explain, was why he had risked his life for a complete. Stranger dot, she began encountering him during her rounds of the station. Marcus seemed to be everywhere, crawling through access tunnels, rewiring power junctions, explaining technical problems to frustrated officers with remarkable patience. He treated everyone the same, from the station commander to the lowest-ranked recruit. When he saw Vessa, he would nod politely and continue with his work. He irritated her more than she cared to admit. 2 weeks after the incident, a priority alert brought Vessa to the command center. Long-range sensors had detected an unmarked vessel on an intercept course. When it refused to respond to hails, the station went to combat readiness. Vessa took her position at the tactical console, her 4 hands dancing across multiple interfaces simultaneously. The approaching ship was smaller than expected, but its energy signature suggested illegal weapons modifications. Pirates, most likely, hoping to catch a supply convoy. They had chosen the wrong station. "All security teams to defensive positions," Vessa ordered. "Prepare countermeasures." The pirate vessel opened fire the moment it entered range. Vessa's fingers blurred as she coordinated the station's response. Point defense systems intercepted most of the incoming fire, but one missile got through. Striking the lower engineering section, the deck shuddered beneath her feet. "Damage report," the station commander demanded. "Hull breach in Engineering Bay 4, someone called out. "Emergency bulkheads deployed. Casualties unknown." Engineering Bay 4. Vessa's primary mind processed tactical data, while her secondary mind recalled the duty roster. Marcus Webb had been scheduled for maintenance in that section. She forced the thought aside. The battle required her full attention. The pirate ship made the fatal mistake of closing to boarding range. Vessa launched a spread of proximity mines that shredded its engines, then dispatched 2 security shuttles to capture the crippled vessel. The entire engagement lasted 7 minutes, but when Vessa finally left the command center and made her way to the damaged section, those 7 minutes felt like hours. Engineering Bay 4 was a disaster zone. The missile had punched through the outer hull, and the rapid decompression had torn apart everything not bolted down. Emergency crews were already working to restore atmosphere and structural integrity. Vessa found Marcus in the makeshift medical station, an oxygen mask pressed to his face. His left arm was bandaged, and burns covered one side of his neck. But he was alive, arguing with the medic, trying to make him lie down. "I'm telling you, the primary coolant line is compromised," Marcus insisted, his voice muffled by the mask. "If someone doesn't reroute it in the next 20 minutes, we'll lose power to the entire lower deck." "You nearly died," the medic said flatly. "You're not going anywhere." "Then send someone else." "The access panel is behind the damaged section. You need to bypass through Junction 7 and reverse the flow before the backup system overloads." Vessa stepped forward. "I will go." Both human and medic turned to stare at her. "With respect, Commander," the medic said, "this is a technical matter. Then he will guide me." Vessa looked at Marcus. "If you can describe the procedure, I can execute it." Marcus studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, yeah. You'll need a toolkit and an emergency sealant canister." For the next 18 minutes, Vessa crawled through damaged conduits while Marcus directed her via comlink. His instructions were clear and precise, even as the medic continued arguing with him in the background. When Vessa's size made certain passages impossible, she used her combat training to find alternative routes. When a secondary explosion nearly trapped her behind a collapsed bulkhead, she used her lower arms to brace herself, while her upper arms worked the repair. "That's it," Marcus said when she finally connected the bypass. "Power should be stabilizing now." Vessa watched the coolant flow reverse, the temperature readings dropping back to safe levels. Around her, emergency lighting gave way to normal illumination as systems came back online. When she returned to the medical station, Marcus was finally lying down, the medic having won through sheer persistence. He looked exhausted, but managed a weak smile. "Thanks for that," he said. "Would have felt pretty stupid if the station lost power, because I couldn't get up." Vessa stood beside his bed, all 4 arms crossed. "You saved my life 2 weeks ago. I have not properly acknowledged this debt. Yet?" Marcus frowned. "There's no debt. I just did what anyone would do." "Not anyone," Vessa said quietly. "In my culture, such an act creates obligation that spans generations. Yet you dismiss it as nothing." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Where I come from, we've got a saying. Do the right thing because it's right, not because someone's watching. You are in danger. I could help. That's all that mattered. And today I was in your debt, so I helped you." "No," Marcus shook his head. "Today you helped because people needed you to. Same reason I did what I did. We're not keeping score here, Commander. We're just trying to get through the day in one piece." Vessa felt something shift in her understanding. Among the Kethrin, honor and obligation were weights carried across lifetimes. But perhaps humans saw it differently. Perhaps they helped each other simply because they could, not because they must. "You are a strange species," she said. Marcus laughed, then winced as the movement pulled at his injuries. Yeah, we get that a lot. Over the following months, Vessa and Marcus developed an unlikely friendship. She learned that humans possessed a remarkable capacity for casual kindness, helping strangers without expectation of reward. Marcus taught her that strength could be found in places other than combat, that fixing a broken machine could be as valuable as winning a battle. When her tour on Nexus Station 7 ended, Vessa requested an extension. The Admiralty was surprised, but approved her request. After all, she was their most elite warrior, and her presence kept the station secure. But Vessa knew the real reason. She had spent her entire life preparing for war, training to protect others through force of arms. Yet a human engineer with no combat training had shown her a different kind of courage. The courage to help without counting the cost. To treat every life as worth saving, even at risk to your own. Marcus Webb had saved her life that day in the cargo bay. But more than that, he had shown her a new way to live. And that was worth more than any medal or commendation the Admiralty could offer.